Hi guys, this is Karoline here, and this is my We Belong in College story regarding what's happening right now. When I came to the United States, racist white people brought up that I'm an immigrant, that I'm a woman of color, that I'm a queer woman, that I have an accent, and that all just made me feel like an outsider. I am currently attending a predominantly white college or university. And I remember in one of my classes, my white instructor brought up a topic about what it meant to be a black student or a student of color in a predominantly white institution. She also brought up the conversation of the injustices that are continuously being done to the black and brown communities. There were 4 students of color in the class, including me, and we all had a lot to say about it. But when I looked around, all the white students in the classroom were silent. After the class ended, I remember approaching my professor and first thanking her for being an ally and for using her privilege to bring up these kinds of conversations. I remember telling her how necessary it was to have these kind of conversations. But I also remember telling her that it was obviously very uncomfortable for the white students in the class to talk about this. But the truth is that conversations like that need to happen, because if it is uncomfortable for white students to talk about black and brown lives, imagine how unbearable and uncomfortable it is for the brown and black people to continuously experience racism, injustices, being targeted, being beaten. Black and brown people are calling guilty before we have even committed a crime. I truly haven't gone to any protests physically because I do live with family members who can be heavily affected if they ever contracted COVID-19. So I don't want to expose myself and then expose them. But honestly, we have been silenced for far too long. Breonna Taylor and George Floyd are not the first or the last black people that have been killed. For far too long, white people have benefited from the black and brown community. White CEOs and white education representatives wear their support for the black and brown communities as like a favorite outfit that they wear outside to make an impression, and then they can take it off to show their true colors when they're finally in a safe space. And honestly, I'm tired. We are tired of having to prove that our lives matter. So to all the people complaining about the protests and people saying that Black Lives Matter, imagine how we feel. Imagine how upset and how angry we are to even have to say that at all. We are all afraid. I'm afraid. I'm afraid for my family, for my friends, for my community. Honestly, we will never know if we might die from some white hands tomorrow. I urge all the young people to keep fighting. Do not give up. I am extremely nervous about the kind of conversations that I will have and that I will witness once I go back to school. I am really uncertain about what the white students will say, or if they will say anything at all. But I just want all those white students to know that when you choose to be silent, when you do not say anything, it makes me feel like you do not care much about my community. For far too long, being in that institution, I felt like I didn't belong because of the color on my skin, because I'm a queer woman, because I have an accent, because I am different. And I'm tired. I am tired of allowing the silence, of allowing your silence to judge whether or not I belonged in college. I want all the young people out there, all the brown and black students out there, to know that we all belong in college. You all belong in college. And we're not going to allow the silence to try to extinguish the power in our voices. This is no time for whispers. This is time for being loud. So let your voice be heard. Roar if you must. And we will be heard, because we all belong in college.